I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
What's that?
I'd like to welcome you all to the Board of Supervisors meeting this September 5th, 2023. Do we have any changes to the tentative agenda?
I have none.
Okay, next we have meeting with department heads and elected officials. Rodney Bleasner, maintenance.
Good morning, staying busy. Just want to give everybody notice on the project out here on Main Street is the city's project, but they're going to be starting milling the asphalt on Main Street from Court to High Street. So that's starting today. That's supposed to take place, I believe, through today, and also they're going to do the little section of Court Street East and then on Valley Street. And then on Thursday, they're going to resume with the paving, starting with Main Street. And that it's supposed to last until Monday, September 11th. So they have a lot of that going on. They're still gonna have a north and southbound lane open out here out front, but there's a lot of traffic. They got some jury trials going on, so it's gonna be kinda hectic. So everybody's kinda keep an eye out for vehicles and pedestrians. Also the public health building is out for bid, so anybody that is interested in that, if they wanna go to the website, there's a link there they can click onto and get to those bid packets. So I think the bids are due back by September 12th at 2 p.m. I believe. Other than that, just got a few other things going, but nothing new to report.
Okay. Krista Pocamiller, Health Department.
Good morning. We're gearing up for the flu vaccines. We've received some of our flu vaccines in our office, so we are giving those on Tuesdays from 8 to 4:30. Our department, or our nurses will be reaching out to the different departments to schedule flu clinics at the various locations. So if anyone is interested in getting a flu shot, they'll be able to get it at that time as well as at our health department.
Starting when?
Starting, actually, we have it today, so if somebody wanted a flu shot today, they'd come into our office and get a flu shot today.
Incidentally, Shane, it cheers up the public health nurses to stick a needle in a supervisor's arm, so you should go over there.
It makes them feel real good about themselves. I think whoever has the most tenure, but anyways, we'll talk about that later. All right, Angie Vaughn, safety.
Good morning. I don't have much going on. I got a work session with you guys today. I guess if it was gonna have to happen, the timing was good. We got a situation going on as we speak
Great.
that we need to address. But it'll work into the conversations we're gonna have about the document anyway, so.
All righty. Ken Hyman, Mental Health Agency of Southeast Iowa.
Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday this week I'll be in Des Moines for training on service coordination. I'm gonna give you we're working on all kinds of things for the new region, and one of them is the Mental Health Agency of Southeast Iowa's list of where all of our offices are in the 13 counties where people can apply. So that's just, it's gonna be on cardstock, but I got an email of it.
Press one of them too.
Apply for services rather than a job,
Right, they can apply for services.
Let me get an extra one of those, Ken, if you don't.
Sure, yeah. Anybody else want one?
Has
Thank you.
Krista got some of the mobile crisis flyers, Ken?
Yes, you got some.
No, I got some, I just wonder if Krista had some.
I don't know if you have.
We got a couple. We had one gal stop by, but she was supposed to get us some more once they were printed. I have not seen those yet.
Okay,
So
there.
that would be great. We'd love to have those in our office.
Sure, yeah, okay. So on the back side of this too is the Your Life Iowa number, which is they do the dispatch for mobile crisis, so that's kind of a helpful thing too. So this is just a little brochure.
Thank you.
It shows all the offices where people can come in the 13 counties and apply for services. we're working on a lot of other forms, and we don't have a new website yet for the new region, so I'm sure all of our forms will end up on the new website once we get them created, but we have a lot to work on. That's about it for now.
Sounds like plenty. Zach James, land use.
Good morning. Things are going pretty well. Been kind of busy the last couple of weeks. Had some prospective subdivisions people have been asking about, and then some other issues with some floodplain stuff that we've been working through. And like I said, the floodplain and zoning issue we're working through, but we got figured out. So, but overall, things are going pretty well.
Going pretty well. All right, sounds good.
I guess side note, we do have that solar ordinance where we made some updates and changes. So just whenever you get a chance to take a look at it, let us know when we wanna, if you wanna come back. I don't know if you wanna do another work session or what, but just let us know when you guys are ready.
I've got a couple questions in regards to that. I won't bother you now. I'll give you a call.
Okay.
I don't know that they, anyway, I've just.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, County Sheriff, Kevin Glendenning.
Good morning. We're finalizing the purchase of our second canine. Our handlers went over to Cedar Creek Kennels, looked at a couple options, and they settled on a two-year-old Belgian female named Luna. So we worked through the health guarantee and whatnot and the training timeline. So we've selected Deputy Hoshek. He's gonna be the canine handler, and he's gonna start that 5-week training in October. So hope to be back towards the end of November, first part of December, and have that canine active. So we're excited to move forward with that, as is Deputy Hoshek. He's thrilled about the opportunity, so we're really looking forward to it. We have emergency management coordinator interviews all this week. Tom and I and Chief Matt Trexel with Burlington Fire are gonna be handling those interviews, and we had a number of very highly qualified candidates. We're gonna be interviewing several of those throughout this week, and hopefully to settle on a strong candidate to bring back to the emergency management board. Other than that, we have 88 in our jail, 15 are out of county, and plus 2 juveniles. So 15 plus 2. Numbers are kind of up right now, and we do have several waiting to go out to be shipped out to the halfway house in the prison. But those timelines are kind of getting a little bit long on us, and we've reached out and we're working through that process. Yes?
Can I piggyback on one of your announcements?
Sure.
From what I've heard, the new canine, one of the priorities was to get one with a nature or personality similar to Tank's, and Tank's the most popular member of your department. I mean,
By far. He steals the show.
Anyway, somebody that could be around the public and everything, and I've heard that you found a dog like that.
Yeah, so we looked at a lot of different dogs, and that was a priority for us. It's building those public relations, going into the schools, community events, having a dog that can interact with it without being dangerous, knowing when it's time to work, knowing when it's time to be social. That was really important. Tanks filled that role for us. Our handlers went over and looked at dogs, found some that were not suitable for that kind of work, very suitable for the police work that they were looking at, but not suitable as that, to fill that purpose as well. So they settled on this female that they really, really liked. Liked that they could sit around with her, and they did. So they worked with her a little bit, they ran her through some jobs, and then they sat down and they socialized with her, and they had talks and discussions with that dog, other people in another room, and the dog is just a normal social dog at that point. And that's what was really important to us, both for the department and for the handler. He's got a family too, and wants to be able to have that dog interact with them at times, and so we found a really good fit. We're happy for it.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And give Deputy Hoshek a thumbs up from us as well.
Absolutely.
And Luna.
Most importantly, Lou. Sarah Marie, auditor.
Good morning. Just still working on election stuff, just staying busy. Nothing new to report at this time.
Okay. Brian Carter, County Roads.
Good morning. Plenty of stuff going on, but obviously the 99 project's still going. We were just discussing that this morning. I think everybody's ready for it to be done, but it's not done. I would say right now, my best guess would be the very tail end of September or that early October period for opening. I would say, although we will send out probably some version of an updated press release when we do it, but it sounds like early next week, the contractor will be closing the intersection with Golf Course Road, which has been coming, all the way along, but, so we'll try to, as best as we can, update the public without screwing up the fact that they still think the road's, closed. When you try to update a closure in the middle of a closure, it can confuse people worse than improve it sometimes. So we'll do what we can there, but, right now, their projection, they're hoping to close that early, next week. We're working on getting some of the apartment complexes there shifted today to start going in and out a different direction. Just try to get everybody on site. That's, when you're doing a job with that many people that live in the area of the job, sometimes the challenge is getting everybody funneled in the right direction. Once they get used to it, life's normally good. So I think today will probably be that adjustment period for some of those folks. Our own crew is gonna be doing some full depth patching on Plank Road. So we are closing a segment of Plank Road. We did a press release, it's out there, but just as a heads up, because there's a lot of traffic cuts through that area, and that'll catch some attention, but for the safety of our own guys, we'll close the whole thing off to do that work.
When's that gonna be?
I'm sorry,
When's that gonna be?
this morning, starting right now.
For how long?
Better part of the week. I think our closure notice said probably through Friday, and it'll open at the end of the day Friday. More times than not, they get it done quicker than that. So, once they get this piece done with the patch, then they'll move to another patch, and they should be able to do that with just one lane.
How long is that intersection, Golf Course Road gonna be closed?
Roughly 3 weeks.
On that Plank Road, there's that, you're not gonna be able to go down Plank Road and then turn and go up to the recycling and have to be closed off.
The gap from east of the recycling road, is that West Burlington Avenue?
Yeah.
The east of that up to where they're kind of that Y intersection with Memorial Park
Yeah.
area, that's the segment that will be closed.
Okay, cause there's pretty good holes right there on the,
Yeah, that's what we're working on.
yeah.
Yep.
The only reason I know, my daughter lives out that way and
You hit them every time.
I hit them every time.
Well, we're not gonna fix those, we're gonna put new ones so that we take the attention away from, no, we'll fix those. That's actually what we're working on. We were in there either last year or the year before, and we did what we did, and, there's been some changeover in some of the land use in that area, and I think some of that heavier traffic is not helping our cause, I guess. So, we'll just chase it further, and hopefully we can eventually get to a point where it'll be stable. So, so I just want to give you a heads up, because that road does get a lot of traffic in general, just cuts through there. So they'll be inconvenienced for a few days. Other than that, like I said, there's plenty of stuff going on. We're still ditching on Beaverdale, making our way south, made a lot of headway the way this has been dry. The guys have been able to get a lot of ditching in, so that's a good deal. And a lot of stuff behind the scenes on future stuff, future projects. So,
Thanks for keeping us updated, Brian, appreciate that.
yep, no problem.
And if the paper puts anything about any of these being closed, give them Shane's phone number to call for updates.
What is it?
867-5309.
Well, like I said, we send out press releases too, and I believe all the local media is attached with those along with emergency response. That's normally the first thing we get is people calling, what about the fire department or what about, and we send it to emergency response also.
Thanks for the clarification.
And the school districts, those are also what we include, so. Yes, sir.
Did you notice in the paper he was talking about, there was a picture of him driving a lawnmower?
I did see that.
without His hands on the wheel?
And I didn't have my hands on the wheel. He was saying that golf cart's driving by itself, and I didn't know what he was talking about until I seen the picture.
Self-driving.
He's good like that.
There are a lot of little kids on both sides of the road.
Yeah.
Collateral damage. But anyways. All right. Let's move on before I say something crazier.
Shane,
Yes.
I think you got people on there that, maybe Chris
Chris Lee.
Okay, is there anybody, that's watching that can't be here that wants, Chris Lee, are you here? Okay, no response? The B in the circle, whoever that is.
That could be Brandon
That's
from
a gas
upstairs.
station.
That's just me.
That's just Brandon from upstairs.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
okay, T, yeah.
all right,
Just
well,
Brandon, so.
okay then, I appreciate that. Let's move on, gentlemen, any correspondence?
I have none.
Well, I have none.
None. We'll move on to discussion and vote. We're at 5A, which is accounts payable claims in the amount of $1,354,530.06 for a grand total. That's $1,062,883.06 in checks and $291,647 in wire transfer payments. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve accounts payable claims.
Second.
Moved in second, Sarah Marie.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Next we have B, which is payroll reimbursement claims for $935.83 in reimbursements, $0 in non-cash taxable. Could I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Moved in second, Sarah Marie.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Next we have C, which is a tax abatement request for parcel 07-01-305-017, which is 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. It says, "Dear Mr. Chairman, within the past 2 years, the Two Rivers Levy and Drainage District purchased 5 lots to the north of our Kingston office, with which to expand our flood fighting area and to keep it center in the middle of the district and the central in the middle of the district and the office. These parcels are 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. This past week, the district received 6 tax statements for this property. As you are aware, we are a political subdivision of the state of Iowa. We are respectfully requesting the current tax statement and all taxes to be abated by the county. We have previously asked for abatement of drainage levy taxes. Boy, I'm struggling today. Drainage and levy taxes, but due to timing, it was too late to request abate the properties. We are enclosing a copy of statements for your review. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, etc., from 4 to 8. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully, Vicki Stoller, Administrator of the Two Rivers Levy and Drainage District."
Motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion approved and seconded. Sarah Marie.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yeah. Can I get some new glasses? Yeah, if you guys haven't noticed online, Thomas has new glasses. Thomas, would you like to speak about your glasses?
I've lived a long time without wearing prescription lenses, so it's a little different. Actually, it feels like I'm about 3 foot tall, hidden behind a desk. They tell me I'll work through it.
I wondered why you sitting up so straight.
So Des Moines County, Thomas is not an alien, he has problems just like everybody else does. All right, moving on to 5D, which is a resolution 2023-38, support and matching funds for Great River Housing Trust Fund. Whereas, that said, Des Moines County is a duly recognized governing body acting under the laws of state of Iowa. Whereas, that said, Des Moines County, in assisting this regional development activity, will sustain a viable housing program for the entire region. Whereas, Des Moines County is a member of the Great River Housing Trust Fund, a regional housing nonprofit corporation that assists low and moderate income households in the region. Whereas, Des Moines County residents and businesses have benefited economically through sustained taxes and supply purchasing through the Great River Housing Trust Fund's programs. Now therefore be it resolved by the members of the Des Moines County Board of Supervisors that Des Moines County will contribute $12,500 cash match to the Great River Housing Trust Fund in fiscal year 2025, thus benefiting low to moderate income households in the county and the region.
We've already put that in the budget, but I'll bet Mr. James would like to speak to that.
Yeah, I could mention a few things here. So Great River Housing Trust Fund, as I mentioned in there, promotes affordable housing in southeast Iowa. We manage the organization on behalf of the trust fund board. And what we do is basically we take applications for people to apply for single-family owner-occupied rehab. So for necessary improvements to their house, roof siding, windows, heat, air conditioning, those types of things. You can get down payment assistance to help purchase a home. And then we also do some development agreements with people, typically for upper story, like usually small buildings, like they might do 2 to 4 units in a downtown area, something like that with developers. So those are typically the types of things that we do with the funding. And every October, there's an application that's due to the state trust fund to request the funding, and we have to have commitments for local match. So this is actually, technically, this would be for next fiscal year. You guys already committed for the year that we're in, so this would actually be 2025. Is that right? Yeah, 2025. It's hard to imagine that, but yeah. So we have to have the funds, the local match committed, so the grant application will actually be about $400,000 from the state, and then we have to have about $100,000. Those are approximate numbers, but for a total about $500,000.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
It has been, we have a first and a second.
Yes.
Sarah Marie, let's vote.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes.
We do also have a golf outing here at the end of the month where we help raise some of the funds for the local match. We usually make about $7,500 to $10,000 through that. And I'd invite you to come play, but we're already full up on teams, so you have to try next year if you want to come play.
My golf
You're gonna have to fix that.
Pulled too hard on the
Oh.
pond and I fell down.
Yeah.
Now I'm in therapy and I'm back.
Did you still make the shot though?
Huh?
Did you still make the shot?
Hole in one, right?
Hole in one is right in the middle of the pond.
I'll do it right now.
You gonna do it right now?
I mean, you can continue, but I'll do
Okay,
it.
okay. We're gonna come back to that for, to stamp that. Okay, next we have personnel actions. This is for the county attorney. It is for Danielle Cassidy. The title is Records Legal Assistant. And her full-time pay is $30,781.13. She's at her 6-month probationary period, effective 9/11/23. So, can I get a motion to approve her full-time
So
adjustment after
moved.
6 months?
What's her, new pay?
That's the full-time now pay,
Oh,
that's the
okay.
30,000, right, it doesn't have her old, what it was, but that's her adjustment after her 6-month probationary period.
Okay, moved approved.
Second.
Moved in second, Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Next, we have reports for the Veterans Affairs monthly report for the month of August 2023. And they did send out, or they did take care of a $300 utility bill and rent for $250, for a total of $550. This will be on file in the auditor's office, and you can check this out at your leisure. And then we have 5G, minutes for regular meetings of August 29th, 2023. They've all been gone over by the board and approved. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Gentlemen, do we have other business?
I have none.
Future agenda items. Brings us to 8, committee reports. I did have the meeting out at Conservation's new soon-to-be cabin. It's the old Ranger's house, and we did a walkthrough on that, and Chris is wanting to do a little revamping on that. We're trying to come up with some numbers that are palatable and still getting the job done, but I still think it's gonna be a great asset to Chris and to the conservation team and to Des Moines County. So those that have gone out there to spend time out of Big Hollow, it's gonna be fantastic. You can not only stay at the cabin that has no lights or power, now you can stay in a house that's got 3 bedrooms, and I'm hoping that we can keep that thing rented out constantly. That would be a great benefit, so that's what we're working on.
Hey Shane, this is Chris.
I didn't call on you yet, Chris. Anyways, people get out of order sometimes when they're online. Slow down, friend. No, I'm just playing, go ahead.
It's alright, I was on the phone.
Just play, man, just play.
I couldn't make it down there earlier, but, for agenda, we have a board meeting tonight. It's tonight instead of Wednesday, just due to, some staff being away. And then on the 12th, we have another work session scheduled. There's a private individual that wants to discuss the possibility of leasing our gone area back here behind our office to possibly develop a campground. That's gonna be on the 12th at 5:30 at our office, and I would like to invite the 3 of you to attend that if you're available. So if you can, put that on your calendars, and if you could put that on the agenda as a work session for us and the supervisors, that'd be spectacular.
Chris, I got a question for you.
Sure.
The other day I had a lady ask me about the pond out there. Can people still go out there and fish if they want to?
Yeah, so if they call us and just ask to go back there, we never really tell anybody no. We just like to know when folks are back there, just due to all the stuff that's around here. We don't wanna just open the gate and let people in kind of willy-nilly without knowing who's back there. So yeah, if they call our office and say, hey, I'd like to go fishing back there, yeah, we're always good for giving people permission to do that.
Where'd you say that meeting was? At your office?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
You bet.
You satisfied, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay. James? Thomas?
I have none.
Okay. This brings us to public input. We would love to hear from you. So if you would like to call in, you can do so now at 319-753-8203, extension 4. That number again is 319-753-8203, extension 4. We'd love to hear from you. And if not, you can always email us at board. See something?
I said bless you.
Oh, thank you. You can email us at board@dmcounty.com. That's BOARD@dmcounty.com. We'd love to hear from you, good or bad. You're more than welcome to email us, but we're gonna give you 2 minutes if you'd like to call at this moment. Jimmy, you wanna set the clock? Yep. Jim's gonna set the clock, and anybody have anything they wanna say?
I forgot to mention it earlier, we're about roughly halfway done with getting the horse and buggy signs installed. So there's, if you've driven around, you've seen a few new ones go up. We're not completed yet, but just something, I've had it mentioned to me twice, but people have noticed them. So people are noticing them.
I've
Is that
had
what it
people
says
say them
for
to
it?
me too.
Caution, a horse and buggy, or what's it say?
It's actually a picture of a horse and buggy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, what is it, when you learn better by pictures
Pictures,
instead of,
picture book.
words, but that's what they are. It's a yellow sign with a black silhouette of a horse and buggy.
Yellow warning sign.
Well, I mean, it's,
Yeah, it's to
yellow
warn you.
signs are warning
Yeah.
signs. Yep. So, sign guys making headway on that in between other stuff.
All right. Thomas?
I do notice with the glasses, I hadn't realized that Brian's hair was quite that gray.
Oh, man!
You know the irony of that is that has come up about a half dozen times in the last 2 weeks.
What about
And
how
it
gray
doesn't
your
matter
hair
to me
is?
one bit, but it's caught other people's attention, and I don't know why, but
Brian, join the crowd.
it doesn't matter to me one bit, but I saw a friend of mine for the first time in probably pushing a
Does this
year,
matter?
a couple weeks ago, and that's the first thing they said is, when did that happen?
Does that matter?
You earned every one of those,
Right,
Greg.
right, baby.
I pointed at Sally.
I tell you, I was sitting, I gotta tell you this real quick.
Take your
I was
time,
sitting
James.
up drinking coffee at 34 Grill where I drink coffee all the time. And this lady come in, and there's a bunch of them sitting there, and she come in, she seen the guy she knew, and she said, well, hello there, you old gray-haired old so-and-so.
Yeah.
And she looked around, and all of us had gray hair, and her face turned red. She turned around and walked out the door, and went out and got her, and she come back in the phone. We was all laughing though. So, it happens, Brian.
It does.
Happens
It
to the
does.
best, man.
And then
Happens to the
eventually
best.
somebody gets glasses and points it out.
I'll tell you what, that gray hair's coming to our house near you. It'll happen, brother.
Oh, it's already happening. Surprised Tom didn't point that out too.
You can see all sorts of things now.
Uh-huh.
Before we close out, James, do you have anything you want to say or address?
I am ready to adjourn this meeting.
Thomas, do you have anything you'd like to say in closing?
Aye.
We're closed, all right. Thank everybody for joining us. We do have 2 work sessions following, one with the safety director, animal control ordinance, and then one with the county engineer. So we thank you, and we'll be back here shortly.
nobody did. And I hadn't thought about it for 2 or 3 years, and somebody asked me a question about it, and I looked it up, and it said, basically it said it's been unleashed, and I thought, oh no.
Yeah, no,
It hasn't been updated, so then Terry had to go through, and it took her a little while to find the actual verbiage we'd approved, and it didn't include that, so maybe, I'm looking through here, I don't see that right off, so maybe,
I didn't
they
see it,
did
I
get
read,
that fixed.
I read all through it, I got up early this morning, all through it to make sure that.
Are we on?
Okay.
Are we officially
Not
started?
yet, nope. You let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, let's go on, see if there's any changes we need to make. Go through
Well,
here.
I've got a list of things that I'd like to see.
Okay, you want me to turn it on?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get.
Okay.
Okay, this is our work session with the safety director regarding animal control ordinance. So, Angie, you want to introduce yourself?
Angie Vaughn with the Joint Safety Committee, the safety director for the Moines County.
Okay, let's get right in.
All right, so one of the issues, all right, I guess, do you guys want me to start with what's happening this morning?
I think so.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think, clue them in.
So, which I guess timing, again, like I said, was perfect considering what we're doing today. So we had an issue with this home that has a bunch of dogs that have been running loose.
Where, ballpark, you don't need to give me the address, but where is it? Near
It's-
Danville, Mediap?
Off Jimtown Road, it's the far west end of the county, about midway up.
Okay.
I've been out there, but I wouldn't know, it's far west end, so. All right, so, the issue first started with these dogs going and killing a gentleman's sheep. There was also some cattle that had come up dead.
How long ago was that?
This would have been, well,
I apologize for interrupting you.
2 years ago.
I've got paperwork signed, June 23rd of 22.
Okay.
So there was 2 separate incidents. The first one, they killed numerous sheep. Do you remember how many? I wanna say 8, several injured, and
Yeah, there's
some
several.
babies
I don't
absolutely
remember the numbers.
traumatized. Then,
8 sheep were killed?
yeah, yeah.
That's just
One,
one.
there was a couple that he had to have put down because they were injured so badly. And then he wasn't certain at the time I went out there to see him, he had some little lambs that were so traumatized, and I guess a heart issue is very common if they're stressed, and he wasn't sure they were gonna survive. They were, when I went to see him, it was sad, they were hiding in between the boards of the barn and wouldn't come out, they were just totally freaked. Then they had a second incident, and I think at that time, there was only 1 sheep killed, and he shot one of the dogs, right?
That sounds accurate.
So, then of course, we set it up to have the board, the dogs were seized.
Within a few weeks of each other?
This was within a few days.
Okay.
I mean, it was like one day and
So
then,
this is still in June of 2022?
that was when we did the hearing and signed the paperwork, so it was right before that.
Okay.
So then they seized the dogs that were covered in blood, and we had a hearing on it, okay? One of the issues I ran in the hearing, we had agreed as a board to have the animals put down, but there was wording in the animal control ordinance that stated after 2 hearings, not 2 incidents. Well, by the time we get the board together, we get all the documentation together, we send them the letters, we get everything certified, that takes quite a bit of time. There's a lot of things that can happen in that time.
So is that a month's worth of time? Is that?
It was probably a month before we got the hearing done, wouldn't you say?
Probably.
Yeah.
Jim could correct me, but as I recall, I don't think the board intended to have 2, I think we would have intended 2 incidents. I mean, if you've got stuff like
Yeah.
that going on.
And that's,
Yeah.
and that's the way I think it needs to be worded. Now, the wording here, I think has been changed some, so you guys tell me what you think. The board shall have the authority to
What
declare.
page are you on?
Sorry, 12 of 15. So then when it talks about the Board of Public Health, the security officer, the county agent shall conduct or cause to be conducted an investigation that shall notify the owner or keeper of the animal in question that the hearing will be held. The hearing shall be held promptly with no less than 5 days or no more than 10 days after the notice. So it was within that time, we got the notices sent out. The Animal Control Board shall serve a copy of the complaint and notice of the hearing on the owner of the animal. Notice the hearing may include immediate order for impound. So they did collect the dogs that were covered in blood, okay? And the officers took pictures, and they did a great job handling that situation. But then it comes down here, the board shall have the authority to declare a dog as potentially dangerous. The board shall issue a written decision with the findings. The board may issue restrictions in addition to those set in section G to the owner or keeper of the potentially dangerous dog and the owner's expense if the dog can be appropriately returned or kept by the owner. The board shall further have authority to humanely euthanize the dog at the owner's expense if the board determines that there has been previous findings that the dog is potentially dangerous. So I think that wording has been changed from when we did the hearing. And you said that you talked to her about it and we thought maybe they were.
Well, that,
But it still says the board has the findings.
I don't think that, I think we discussed it, we're waiting on the final wording, and so one of the versions I have, I don't think it's actually been voted through by the board, or by the board of supervisors. I think we're waiting on the final version.
Okay,
I think Lisa got busy, because we talked about it, I remember, but it's been a while back, we had that hearing coming up and we couldn't get it.
well, and I remember reading through it and that, so I think this wording's changed, maybe it's not approved, but I think this is different wording. Because it was pretty clear when I started reading through it, it's like, oh, they have to be in front of the board twice. Not 2 incidents, but I really think that we need to be clear on, if it happens twice, doesn't matter if you come in front of the board.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, then the board has the right to euthanize the animals.
Don't disagree.
So one of the ordinance that I printed off that I have an electronic version of, it
I
says
should have brought the
prepared by
one I
Lisa
had.
Schaefer. And then I think the version that I just got from Sarah says by Amy Beavers.
Yeah, this is,
So
Oh, so maybe mine is correct.
there is a newer version.
Because the one I had was, I'm certain Lisa did it. So if this, so maybe mine's, I should have brought it. I'm sorry, guys.
do you have
Which
it in,
version?
Actually, I may have thrown it away thinking,
This was the newest one that I had got out of the ordinance book that was amended.
Does it say a date on it?
no, mine says prepared by Lisa Schaefer.
okay, mine's Amy Beavers.
Oh, you
Where
might
does
have
it say that?
printed the wrong
Right at
ones
the top.
then, hon.
No, I
Oh,
don't
this-
think the one that Lisa prepared has not been voted through, is not in.
Yeah, I don't think it, at least, because this one says 2017 was when it was done, but it was signed, but then in here it says 2020.
And we've,
2017 was that dogs out there that
Yeah,
with it, where it
lost the
says,
levy.
but when it says prepared by Amy Beavers, this is the beginning of the whole ordinance.
Yeah.
right. Now, we
changes.
did have one that was voted on approved
We
through
did,
Lisa.
but we've had, and I don't know whether that get changed, but we changed something else in an ordinance to match state law. And I don't remember what it is, but I remember Lisa telling us that this needs to be changed to match state law. And I don't think it was
Disorderly conduct.
whatever it was, well, I don't think it was a big deal, and it wasn't to do with dogs. It was about something else. So.
Yeah,
I'm
this is the final one that I
99%.
show from October of 2017.
Okay, so the one I'm holding right here is the one that says Lisa Schaefer.
Okay, well,
And it says,
Is
it-
that
was
one
the
that was in?
change?
this is the Des Moines County Ordinance number 6 in its entirety.
Was that passed, or was that just one that they had started working on?
Right, county, yeah.
This is the one you sent me when I asked for the most recent updated one.
Where's
That
the, so where's the difference in the reading? Where are you,
See, I
on the
don't
third
know. You guys got
paragraph
the
from-
old one, so this will, let me look.
I got
I wonder
Amy
if it's not
Beavers.
saved in this animal ordinance folder,
So
it's
let me
just
see,
saved
because
in
this
the.
might show.
The board shall have the authority to declare
I
dogs.
got Amy Beavers right there.
Yeah, so this will show any dog previously
Oh,
determined
here,
to be
she didn't
potentially
save it
dangerous
in the
by Des
animal
Moines County
ordinance folder, she
after
saved it at the
keeper-
bottom.
Where you at?
on page 9, it says vicious dog. Any dog which, when unprovoked, this is the old one, this is the one I've seen. So in here, let's see.
So I have a 2020 notice to amend number 6 and a 2022 notice to amend number 6.
Okay, the 2020.
Is there a date on that one that you have?
Mine, the one I had over here is 2020.
Any dog which, when unprovoked in an aggressive manner, bites a human being or inflicts severe injury upon or kills a human being. Is that what you've got on number 11? For vicious dog?
Yes. And then any dog previously determined to be potentially dangerous by the Des Moines County Animal Control Board. So that's where it hung us up, because they hadn't been in front of the control board. We couldn't say this dog had been
Because it took
deep.
you down here a month, right, to
Right.
all that.
Let me go print
Now,
these.
on this one, so that's where the change is. I was wondering why this looked different.
Let me go print
So
these
this
ones.
one
I
says,
get it, Sarah, if you're,
Des Moines County Ordinance number 6 is in its entirety, including 6A and 6.1 herein, on this blank date of 2022. So yeah, maybe this one isn't approved. So this one, how it reads, the board shall have the authority to declare a dog as potentially dangerous. The board shall issue a written decision with its findings.
Where you at right now?
This is on my new one,
On page,
12 of 15.
We also added one other thing that we were gonna add when we had the first one on this. Remember, Tim Scott, used to be the mayor, was here.
Was attacked.
Yeah, anyway, but we hadn't thought, but he said he would like the person that was bit to be noticed, or notified, whether that dog
Had his shots
tested
and stuff.
positive for rabies or something. And we remember talking about that, and I don't remember, I'm thinking maybe the sheriff's office was gonna contact him, or public health. It was not going to be.
It's us.
Is
So,
it you?
yes, the way this
Yeah.
works, and it works really, really well, is the sheriff's office goes out, they do the initial, check when the complaint comes in, or if there's a call from the ER. And then, they'll issue, if there's a rabies, tag violation or failure to have the vaccine. And then they forward that paperwork to me, and I do a follow-up to make sure that if the dog's not vaccinated, I will call, let them know. And again, if it's a situation where it's an animal that has run away, one that they would not be able to catch or be able to find, then following up with those people and talking about the recommendation for the rabies vaccine. Because Iowa Department of Public Health, which is now IHHS, their recommendation is to get the rabies vaccine started, so.
Well, now Tim Scott didn't get notified, that's where his
Well,
concern was.
that's what he was, and he thought, and I think he was just, when this happened, you know, and then I think Kevin mentioned that it's kind of uncomfortable if you would have the owner of the dog have to make that call, or the other guy have to take that call. So I remember there was a discussion, I didn't remember how it turned out, that somebody would notify that individual that was actually bitten by the dog.
Yes,
No,
and
there
it
was-
worked really very well, because we did have a
So-
couple of incidents.
I was gonna say, there was another lady that got attacked pretty badly.
Is that,
We get quite a few.
Yeah.
is that in the one you have, in the ordinance you have, does it address that? Because I
No.
think we were gonna address that in the ordinance. Bro.
Sarah's getting the most current one printed
Okay.
out.
Because there was trouble finding,
Can you actually, you know, if we're saying up here, you've gotta notify them with, no less than 5 days, no more than 10 days.
And it's gotta be, I've gotta get it,
Yeah, so how about if we notify them right away, you got a complaint, notify them right away, then it goes down to that last sentence, notice of a hearing may include an immediate order for impoundment of the animal at issue.
now, we did impound them, so we can impound them,
So that's.
so that, we impounded them right away.
Yeah,
But they didn't impound all of them, which is kind of it.
they should.
how many do they have?
But they had 2 covered in blood, they couldn't prove the other ones were
Probably.
involved, that's when, you know,
Well-
that kind of puts them in a. All right, so,
Try this.
so let's go, let me go down the list of the things I'd like to see changed.
All right.
2 incidents, not 2 board hearings. So,
Where you at?
this is just within it, this would be page 12 of 15. But these are just some of the things that I bring up.
22.
I also
The
think
one that Terry-
that if they come to a situation where they have 3 incidents, like this family has, all the dogs need to be removed and it's done.
2 hearings, not incidents.
2 incidents, not hearing.
That's what I mean, 2 incidents, not hearings.
I mean,
And then if you turn around, you've been in front of a board and you let the dogs run again and they go to try to kill this guy's sheep, I know what it's like to have a neighbor that's batshit crazy. This is not,
but I'm just saying, do we wanna wait for the 3rd incident, because 2 incidents may be.
well, 2 incidents in front of the board, if this says 2 incidents and not 2 hearings, I can put at least one of them down. But if they're still allowing these dogs to run rampant and destroy people's livestock, be a threat to everyone around them, the dogs need to be removed from this home and they need to be told, you're done.
We back up a minute, so anyway, so you were telling us what happened in June. What happened today or yesterday or whenever it was?
They come in to the field,
Same
this
place?
time there were 7 to 8 of them,
Dogs.
yes.
All
And
from the same owner?
yes, and he happened to be there, so he shot one of them, they took off, and he said they were circling back around. And he said, this has been an issue, now all of a sudden they're running again. They're running loose
So how
again.
many total dogs does this person have?
Way
Oh,
too,
yeah,
way too,
one
they
day.
keep just producing them and breeding them.
Our deputies went up there, they found 12 to 13 dogs. Only a couple of them were less than 6 months. Any dogs over 6 months old have to have rabies vaccinations. None of the dogs were tagged or collared with rabies vaccinations. So what they're doing is any dogs that appear to not be puppies under that 6 month time, that 6 month of age, they're grabbing the dogs now. Of course, it's a dozen dogs that they're trying to get a hold of, and some of them are not very friendly. They can't find any people at the property, can't get a hold of anybody with the phone numbers that we have, so.
She works
She
at,
she refused to show up to the hearing, by the way.
she,
The boys showed up that had the one dog, but the owner of the house that's the problem refused to show up.
Is it her, is it her boy?
works.
No,
She works
he was living in a trailer with her
Nursing home.
12-year-old daughter or whatever.
Who, the owner of the
That's what
dog?
they're doing.
at the nursing home in New London.
Okay.
The owner of the house
So,
herself works at the nursing home. She did work at Walmart, she got let go at Walmart, that's what her son told me last fall. And she works at the nursing home now.
so the dogs have multiplied quite quickly.
Yeah.
The owner.
So they got a mother and a father, of dogs.
They got one
on
mother.
site.
Yeah, and they're probably, everybody's breeding.
Everything, yeah, it's not,
it-
and even when they aren't running. Is this online?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, then I won't add anyone's name. Somebody told me that they're keeping them on really teeny tiny short leads in the dead of heat. Don't have access to water, don't have access to food. So that was another thing that there's nothing addressed in here.
These same dogs?
Yes. So we need to address something about animal abuse as well.
Iowa code addresses that, I think, pretty clearly.
You can do that?
Yeah, if there's neglect, and we've gone up there, I've gone up there personally and taken a look, and it. I mean,
But they
to
play
be-
a game.
To be quite honest, I mean, there are, we all have different standards of how we should keep and treat our animals, whether those standards that bother some others, meet Iowa code is kind of the difference, and a lot of times they don't. And I've gone up there and I've seen those dogs kept on short leads, but they've had food, water, a little bit of shade, those kinds of things when we've been up there. The big issue has always been the vaccinations and allowing the dogs to run free.
Well, and that was another thing. I think that we should force them, one incident, they should be forced to microchip their dogs because this lady knows how to play games. So she's got 10 dogs that look just alike, right? Your officers are not gonna tell the difference between most
What
of
kind
them.
of dogs are they?
Like a shepherd like white guardian dog.
It's-
It's,
I'm having a brain fart. Sorry, the big white,
Big
Color
white
of those
lab,
wolf dogs they have.
Yellow lab,
no,
big white ones, yellow
not
lab
huskies.
mix.
These are the ones that look like a sheepdog. I'm sorry, guys. I normally can tell you my
yeah, they're like that
bad.
guardian dog.
Yeah, and they are aggressive. I mean, if you talk to the vets, they'll tell you, yeah, I mean, they can be very aggressive. But the problem is, they're white and coded the way they are because they're supposed to protect sheep because they're supposed to be trained. These are dogs that are not being treated well. the ones that had blood on them, when we had the hearing, the guy literally sat here and tried to explain to me, well, that's because there's a dead deer carcass out in the field and he's been eating off of that. I had to laugh. I said, I'm sorry, but after a day, your dogs are not gonna get covered in blood eating off a dead deer carcass. It's gonna be dried up. But I think that we should force them to microchip them if there's an incident. The officers can have a scanner. The scanners are not expensive. I mean, $150, something like that. They're not expensive. Then they can scan these dogs and this person can't vaccinate one dog and say, oh, no, this is the one, and be covered. They can scan it, no, this is not the dog that was.
So that was our issue as well previously, and to be quite honest, that'll be the issue today is, when there's 6, 7, 8 dogs that were in the yard. The gentleman said, you know, they weren't actually in the act of attacking, but they're moving that way. He was in fear for his animals, so he shot one of the dogs. Which regardless of the chasing and hurrying livestock, it's a unvaccinated, untagged dog, which is legal. So in that situation, he's okay to put that animal down, but we get back there, none of those dogs were actually in the act of attacking, but they're on this gentleman's property.
I'm going to.
And he has genuine
history.
concern because he's lost plenty of livestock. But then we go there and it's determining which 6, 7, 8 dogs of these 13 were there. And this is a very special situation, and I'm hopeful that today, we're gonna go through the process of taking those dogs, taking them to the animal shelter, requiring the vaccinations, it's gonna be a significant cost. And they've never had shown that ability to, or desire to pay that. However, we leave a couple dogs there, or they get a couple more, and then this is what happens is, I can tell you 1.5 years, 2 years ago, when this first started happening, they were down to 1 or 2 dogs. And now we're back up to 12, 13 dogs.
So there's gotta be a limit where we say, you're done.
Did they lose
There's a
any
couple
sheep
of them
today?
right there.
What's
Did
that?
they lose any sheep today?
No, he shot it, he shot the one, he did say they were circling back, which is concerning. You know, he shot one, they run off, and then they're circling back to come back for the sheep.
Went up to the house.
I do wanna mention that, and Kevin's a little more familiar with this than I am, but Iowa, chapter 351 of Iowa Code actually addresses vaccination, impoundment, and killing of,
There's 2 there.
it's the wrong word, putting down of dogs which are rabies vaccinated. So it does talk about 351, 2.6, the right to kill untagged dogs.
I think they're
Yeah.
supposed
Well,
to,
that's
who wants to tell
officer,
somebody
if
they
they're
have
That's
to
untagged,
already
they
in
can
the
shoot.
chapter for the state.
Now,
Legally, our deputies could go there today.
shoot the dog.
And shoot.
Now, that would be a disaster, and I don't want our
Well,
deputies.
yes,
can't
but I'm just
have-
saying, it's
so-
addressed,
Sure.
there's a big chapter on vaccination, impoundment, all that, in the Iowa chapters already that talks about a lot of this.
So back to the one event, because, you know, I don't want, 3 events, there's so much that could go wrong in that, you know, I just feel like that's waiting too long. Back to the one, where are we at on that? I mean, now you said these, like with this group, they're probably not gonna be wanting to pay the.
So the dog at the time was identified, it had to be kept in an enclosure. They moved the dog off that site to another site.
that was another thing that I noticed in this new one, and we need to keep that. Because then my concern was they just moved it, the boy who's living in a camper with a girl, it's her mom that owns the house. She was real young, he was, I don't know, 18.
They're still living there. Old campus.
She's like 13. So it's a weird situation, but his sister is a vet tech over in Henry County. Now, it says in here that you cannot, hold on, let me find it.
It says in here you cannot move the dog out.
Right, it says, no dog declared vicious shall be allowed.
Tell me where you're at.
This is on page 14, I don't know if it's gonna be what yours says.
We should all have. the
Section
same.
J of this chapter, no dog declared as vicious shall be allowed to be taken out or brought into Des Moines County except as permitted by the board.
And which board is this? The
I
Animal
didn't
Control
have
Board?
this,
That would be.
the Animal Control Board.
Animal Control Board.
I didn't have this at the time we had the hearing. I had a different thing, so it didn't say this. Now, he did not get approval from us to move the dog out of the county, but he moved it across the county line, which is not really that far away from where the sheep are. Instead of doing the enclosure that you have to have with the roof, you know, all that. They're supposed to be closed in, pinned up, and only outside of that on a leash and muzzled. Well, he chose to take the dog and send it to a sister out of county. So we just gave our problem to another county and still didn't get it that far away from where the sheep are.
At the time, one of our deputies did go look at that enclosure, inspect it, see it, where it was at.
Right, oh, at the other county? Okay.
Was it actually pinned up?
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember the exact details, but he went and certified that essentially that it was being kept in the way that it was supposed to.
But it left the county and technically it's not supposed to.
Yeah,
So,
Is that on the old ordinance as well? Or-
it wasn't, because I didn't see that until I read this one that she sent me. And I was like, oh,
Well,
I didn't know, so, but I do think it needs to be kept. I mean, we shouldn't be sending our problems somewhere else, and somewhere else should not be sending their
Right
problems to
on,
us.
right on.
How are you gonna stop them?
Well,
They just can't, if they're gonna move out of the
Well,
county,
they
they're gonna have
can. My
to,
question is, how are you gonna stop them?
we can't stop, we don't
That's
know if
my-
they're gonna
that's
do it
my
at
point.
nighttime or
so, we charge them.
ask where the dog's at.
Okay, but how are you gonna stop them?
If we're
You haven't answered the
microchipping
question.
them, so see, he could easily said, if we called him out on it, said, well, that's the dog.
Well, I'm
If
all
they're
for
microchipped,
rules,
we
but they
know.
have to be enforceable, and there's a lot of stuff being talked here that I'm not sure is enforceable, but how are you gonna stop them? That, to me, you want this, you want a cat, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing illegal about somebody moving a dog to somebody else's place,
Unless it's
In a
been deemed
different county.
vicious.
so I'm just asking how are you gonna enforce it? Cause if it's not enforceable, then don't put it in.
Let's go back to the chipping. Let's go back to the, how soon can the dog be, can they be forced to chip a vicious dog that has no shots and all that stuff? Let's go back to
Well,
that.
if they're being collected for an incident and they happen to be seized,
I'm saying, if somebody, tell me this, if somebody's got 12 dogs, 2 of them are covered in blood after a deal like that, how many dogs, is it just the 2 that are covered in blood? Because those dogs got a good chance of getting put down, right? What about the rest of the dogs?
we didn't deal with them because they weren't.
The only way you can do it is if that guy can't tell you how many dogs, identify the dogs himself.
But like he said, without them being chipped, and even that, the owner's not gonna be able to know which ones were there. They all look alike, they're big white dogs. There's a husky.
I think the same questions pop up is what we talked about last time, and I think that's where probably some research into the case law on the part of the county attorney's office would be beneficial, is the constitutional questions of if we have these incidents, can we legally put in our ordinance that you can no longer possess a dog on this property? I question that we can do that.
I don't think you can do that.
There are states that do that. I will tell you that.
I
know
also
that for a fact.
wonder, I had that question of if they're unvaccinated, we seize them, we're impounding them today, we're gonna require that those dogs be vaccinated, that's within the code.
Can we force them to chip them?
Can we force them to chip them is my question, and I also question that we would have that ability. We can require them to have them collared, tagged. Again, I don't want to be in that position of putting dogs down, but this is one of these special situations that we also have a responsibility to look out for the rest of our citizens and allow them to have livestock that's not gonna be destroyed.
All
Absolutely.
dogs, whether they're chipped or not, okay, but still in the county, they still have to have collars and tags, correct?
Everywhere in the state, if they're over 6 months,
So,
they have
but
to
these
be,
dogs didn't have any collars or tags,
No.
correct?
correct.
And I mean, where do we go from there?
And I think,
So today, they're gonna go to the animal shelter, they're gonna be required to be vaccinated. The owners are gonna have to pay that bill, for that vaccination. Likely, they won't, they'll abandon the dogs, the dogs potentially will be put up for adoption and then destroyed. I don't know what will happen, in the long term of that.
I don't know if she'll let it slide. She doesn't have money, but they wouldn't let it slide last time.
The,
So I think she's gonna push back to get her dogs back.
well, and I think, Brian can tell me, I don't think all dogs in the county, even if they are vaccinated, I don't think they put collars and tags on them because they don't want them getting caught in a fence or something.
My dogs
None of mine.
never get out of my yard, but
They're
I do not
vaccinated.
collar and
But,
tag them.
no, well, I understand, and I'm sure that's part, nobody wants to shoot a dog if it's not a
You don't
problem.
collar on
I
it,
understand.
No, absolutely not, that way.
There's too many things for them to get caught
Yeah.
on, too many.
Tom's right.
And two dogs
what do we-
playing, I've had situations with people I know from the dog show world where two dogs are playing and one dog gets their mouth caught on it
Yeah,
and it gets twisted and it chokes one dog to death and the other one dies too.
I mean,
because it
it's,
can't
it's
get
a
out,
good
so-
rule because it gets to be applied for, I think it's great for Kevin and his guys to have that in this kind of a situation to lean on. But it's not real life for a lot of folks and especially out in the county, cause my dogs don't run, but every so often they will. And I've had hunting dogs get hung up with their hunting collars, and that's actually, I do have my vaccination tags on my hunting collars. And that's the only time my dogs wear collars.
My father-in-law,
Mine-
was
and mine are
my
chipped,
son's found
so that's why.
tangled up in a fence, and he
With a
found him,
collar?
he was about dead, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, so that's why mine, but it is I think it's a great rule for this exact reason.
And.
And they're not gonna shoot willy-nilly. The guys are not that kind of
The
personality.
unfortunate truth is, especially with the animal shelters rates and what they got up to, and if we're gonna take 10, 12 dogs, that's gonna be a significant bill that
It's
gonna cost us.
increased to $35 a day.
It's likely gonna be passed back to the county.
I don't think you're gonna get 10 or 12
But my-
out
my-
there.
well,
Right
I
now,
guess
right now, the most I've counted out there has been 7 in the morning.
Yeah, they were just in the yard.
So a good question is, if they are not collared and they are not tagged, the sheriff's department has the right to
They've been
shoot
out-
them.
Your sheriff's been out there already this morning?
Why
Yeah,
do,
they were out there now.
Oh, they're out there now. How many did they find?
Just that they said 12 to 13 dogs, and they thought a couple of them were possibly under that 6 months of age.
Yeah,
he said there were some puppies.
yeah.
Where
So-
are you going, where are you going?
All right, so if legally, if they're not collared and tagged, the sheriff's deputies can shoot them and put them down. Why does the rule change when we send them to the shelter? Why not collect them, take them to shelter, say they are seized, we can euthanize them? Or you can sign them off and we could possibly find homes for them. But at this point, they were not collared, they were not tagged, they were not vaccinated, and we can euthanize the dogs. Solves a whole lot of problems.
Yeah, what the code allows, and I'll pull up the code now, but what it allows is for a deputy to put the dog down, or the county can provide for the impoundment of such dogs.
But do we have to give it back? See, then they come back and they say, well, we want it back, and this problem keeps escalating. Can
Well, it's gonna
we
cost us
legally say, no,
$35 a day per dog.
no, this is the third issue, instead of shooting your dogs, we took them to shelter, and we're gonna euthanize them humanely?
It talks about dogs that are impounded in that chapter 351. It talks that the local board of health enforcement shall provide written notice to the owner. The local board of health or law enforcement official can reasonably determine the owner's name and current address by accessing a tag or device as part of the dog. The notice shall be sent within 2 days after the dog has been impounded. Sorry, I'm reading from my phone. The notice has been delivered. The day the dog may be humanely destroyed or otherwise disposed of in accordance with the law.
Now, where are you at? This is in our
Chapter
ordinance?
351 of Iowa Code, 351.
Okay, so we're
337
going with
Iowa.
3 different things, so we need to kinda,
So, if, you pick up dogs, and you're gonna have them, said they need rabies shots. You're either gonna pay for rabies shots, or we're gonna put them down,
Yeah, and the cost of impoundment.
and the cost of it, yeah. And if they wanna do that, but if they don't wanna do that,
Then they get put down.
How many days do they have to respond? 'Cause that's gonna be added up.
the paperwork, I think the law says we have to give them 10 days.
I'm telling you, some of them puppies out there are pretty tame. They'd like to get on.
But a tame dog doesn't matter, they can still be a threat to the livestock. I will tell you, I spent last weekend doing fast cat with one of my puppies, it's the sweetest thing in the world, she plays with my cat, she loves our chickens. You put her in front of prey, and she was all over it. One of her times was 22.9 miles an hour going after a lure. Calmest, sweetest dog there is. So it doesn't matter how friendly they are, right? If you have prey and they have that drive, they're gonna be a problem. So there's still gonna be a problem for his
Why I
livestock.
can't keep cats alive.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's the truth, and that is in most breeds. My breeds are, you know,
Everyone has
terriers,
been
so they're supposed to
killed.
go to ground. Very loving, and with animals they know, very loving. Like I said, my cat runs around and Pearl actually curls up with her. However, you have something running from her like a herd of sheep would if they came into their field, I guarantee she's gonna take them.
I think a lot of dogs would probably bark at something that's foreign to them on a regular basis, livestock. If they were, you know, if my dogs took off running and ended up somewhere there with this livestock, my guess is I'd get a call that they were out barking. You know, I think that's pretty, that's.
I'll tell you where I'm at right now, you're gonna take care of the situation for today, which you're bringing them in, but we still need to have an attorney here, put the changes in
We
there,
need an
and
attorney.
come back and have another meeting on it, because we're not getting anywhere talking about we should.
To answer the question on what's gonna happen, what Krista was reading from 35137 is, so we're gonna take the dogs, it says the Board of Health, but we can work together with Krista and deliver that notice that, hey, we've taken the dogs, that has to happen within 2 days.
And this is the second or third for
This is the
them?
third time for them.
This is the third incident.
The two times they killed sheep. This time they just didn't get a chance. He's actually expecting more livestock to coming in today. So he was outside at his hog barn waiting for the shipment to come in when the dogs came and,
So then they'll have 7 days to pay for that vaccination and the cost of impoundment. At that point, if they don't, then they have to be put down by euthanasia.
7 days for 10+ dogs?
but again, like he said, we're gonna sit here again. They still got puppies under 6 months.
I don't think there's.
If they're not
I think
collecting
there- I
them-
don't think there's anything you can do about the future. I don't think you can, there's no rule you're gonna pass to keep somebody from causing this same problem again and again and again.
No. I
If
mean,
they're that motivated, it's gonna happen.
but we need to deal with this
lady
deal right now.
This lady can't afford,
And it's just
she
neglect.
can't afford this, I know
She-
that for a fact.
I don't know how she's feeding 12 dogs.
She's
Well, they're
not,
eating
she's
sheep.
letting them eat. She's letting them eat sheep
Valid
and
point.
dead deer carcasses out in their field.
That could probably be why they're attacking. They're hungry.
Well, yeah, and she's trained him to do that. Like
Well,
I said, he said that's how the ones had blood on them.
I'm just saying, once dogs get a taste for that, do they ever get away from that? I mean,
And this is an entirely different group of dogs, so the
Right,
dogs,
it's not-
the group that we're dealing with today, has never actually attacked livestock that we have documented. They're on this gentleman's property, and very likely that may have been what's going to happen next. He didn't wait for it, he put one of the dogs down.
but this is still the same part of the group of dogs that did
I-
attack.
Yes,
I-
it's the
I
same
think-
owner that's
I
irresponsible.
think the leader of that group is that kind of a husky mix. And he was
involved in the incidents
involved in that
before.
last attack.
So he definitely needs to go
Yeah.
away. Because he'll just lead them into it.
Leader of the pack and being able to prove that they've attacked,
Yeah.
that's,
He was,
I
well, he
know
was
you-
one of them
you
that's
can't.
covered in the blood.
You can't, but
Yeah,
In the
but you can't.
first incidents, he was one of them that, we got pictures of him covered in blood.
so what happened with that dog then in the hearing?
that white dog got shot when he come back, he's one of them that got
Because
killed.
one dog was,
One of them,
one dog was put down and.
oh,
and the
maybe
other-
that was the husky
I
that
don't
got,
think there's any
got
dogs
shot.
there that we have.
That's right, the
documented.
husky got shot.
So the dogs covered in blood, none of them were euthanized by us.
But the
We
one,
couldn't because it had to have 2 hearings in front of the board. So that's the one he took out of county.
Did they have a lawyer?
We had the rules set up, this is what has to happen with this dog. And I told him point blank, we would have agreed, and we absolutely agree that that dog should be euthanized. You're getting lucky because of one wrong word in the ordinance. This is what your rules are gonna follow. And we told him that he had to have a pin, it had to have a cover, it had to be I wanna say 5 by 8. It had to have a lock and key that the dog could not slip out of. Had to have a cement floor, so he couldn't dig out of it. And the dog had to remain vaccinated, collared, tagged, and when it was moved from that to move into the house, it had to be on a leash. And he took it and moved it to another county.
We need a lawyer.
I don't, yeah, we do. I don't, I agree with Brian, I don't think you can enforce the moving it. They can, doesn't have to go to the next county, they can move it across. You'd never find it, you didn't know if it isn't shipped.
Well, it
I
says
agree
that
if
in the
they- if-
ordinance, so that's
You,
something
you
we
need
can
2
look at.
incidents instead of 2 hearings. I mean, don't make it hearings, so something like that, you can put them down. If you can round up all the dogs and I'd be
They're not
curious
tagged
if they're
and-
not willing to have them, pick up said, you need to decide sooner than 10 days. If you want them, vaccinated, if you're gonna pick up the, expenses involved, we'll do that, but you're gonna have them vaccinated, or we'll put them down. I hate to wait 10 days, like you said, that's gonna cost us an arm and a leg if that's possible.
I hate to put a dog down too.
Well, what are you gonna do with them? Then our dog and the county's gonna be paying for them. That's why we put dogs down now, is because nobody
Or
wants
the
to
shelter, they
adopt
can
them.
sign them over to the shelter.
Yeah.
And the shelter could decide which ones could be rehomed to a good home.
But
Well,
what
the
the shelter's
shelter's
still
got
got
them,
us.
they're still charging. We're
Yeah, they're
getting
still.
it.
Well, if they sign it over, I don't know that they will.
Oh, I bet they will.
We're talking,
expensive gone
we're
up.
talking.
Yeah, they went
Yeah.
from
inexpensive.
$5 to 30.
Yeah,
$30 bucks.
and I agree with that, I mean, that
But
hasn't changed.
inexpensive, that's the reason we have dogs put down anyway, that's because they aren't good dogs, nobody wants them.
They're put down because of the owner, not.
Yeah,
Yes.
the owner
Oh,
didn't want
absolutely.
it,
You
the
gotta
owner
keep it
didn't
in
want
perspective, that
Yeah.
it's not, it's unfortunately dogs in the middle, but
to do that.
that is the way it is.
I would like to see if we can make them do that and say, as soon as you locate the owner, so we just pick these dogs up. If you want them back, you're gonna vaccinate them, and you're gonna pay for whatever it costs. You're gonna pay for if they had to be held overnight or something like that. You're gonna do that, or we're gonna put them down now. I don't know
That's
whether
my
that's
feeling.
legal or not.
Unfortunately, that part's in Iowa code.
Well, is it okay?
Yeah, I
And-
think, I don't know that she could sign a waiver that states, listen, I have no intention of doing this. I'm not gonna pay the impoundment, I'm not gonna pay for the vaccination. And then we could potentially move forward, but we still put ourselves at risk that she comes back and says, on day 6, I would've came up with the money and they didn't follow Iowa code, they didn't give me the 7 days.
Iowa code is 7 days?
Iowa code says 7 days.
Jeez, man.
We gotta go by Iowa code, that's.
Well, Iowa code is that, but to me, it sounds like Iowa code also has the rights that if they are untagged and no collar, that they can be put down
Yeah, so
immediately.
that's what I'm saying, if
And
the
where I'm-
officers don't shoot them, why can't they be taken
Where
to
I'm
the
going with
shelter?
this is that could be like the warning of, okay, you've had 2 opportunities, the 3rd time we come out. Now, in this situation, to me, from what I can see here, you're using the vaccination as kind of hopefully leverage, but that isn't gonna, if this lady comes up with the money and pays for the vaccinations and gets the dogs back, you still all have the exact same problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna have the same problem anyway, because if that mother dog, one of the 2 breeders they got.
Well, she is a puppy, so she should be coming with this group. But this woman probably doesn't have the money to pay those charges. So we can probably, hopefully, solve this issue this time. But there's gonna be,
Right, but we still
but
have
there's
these
very
7
possibly gonna
days.
be people in the future that have the same issues. They got money, they don't care. They'll pay it, take their dogs back and continue on with the same irresponsible behavior.
It's rare. I mean, it is, it's,
It isn't, yeah, the last hearing we,
Yeah.
well, we had the one recently in Danville.
I'm sure.
yeah, that was animal neglect.
Yeah, that was
They just left it in.
another one that I was gonna talk to him about.
And I'm sure Kevin's right that you can't tell somebody they can't own dogs.
Kill all the chickens and that out
No,
there.
no.
No,
And
What's that?
I said, I'm sure you're right, that you can't tell somebody you can't own. You've had bad dogs in the past, we put them down, Now, you can't own dogs. I'm guessing you can't do that.
No.
And I don't know whether you can be shipped or not.
Bless you, Jim.
I don't, that's something we would need an attorney to.
Well, that's in the new one, so that's something that's gonna need to be removed. It's
Yeah,
written.
and maybe you can,
It's
I
written
think
in
that was
there.
one of the things, from my notes, that was one of the things that we discussed last time that Lisa was gonna look at, so maybe she confirmed that that's,
You can
the
do
option
that.
and.
But they are right, on the other side of that, the only thing you could do is charge him. Don't necessarily know how you can find the dog, and if he leaves the county, then what are you gonna do? But we could leave it in.
Well, we're picking up, your guys are picking up how many dogs right now?
They said that there's 12 to 13 dogs there, they thought a couple of them, so it could be around 10-ish. They were gonna work on the using Burlington's animal control vehicle and.
That we could have up to 7 days.
We're gonna know how this turns out before you can change an ordinance.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, how much, if you find somebody, if they've got animals that go kill somebody's farm animals, can you fine them?
No, so that's, the code makes them strictly liable for any civil
Yeah.
damages.
But they never paid for the civil damages to him.
But no, we can't charge them. What we will charge them with today is a violation of the Iowa code for rabies, for every one of those dogs.
Is there a fine for that?
There is. It's a simple misdemeanor, but they will be charged for that. So they're gonna get, a written citation for every one of those, and the dogs will be seized.
How much is that per dog?
It's probably gonna amount to around $120
Total?
per dog.
Per dog.
But then that's up to the courts. The courts can merge those, they can,
In the meantime, we're gonna be paying as much for the dogs almost as we pay for housing prisoners out of town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's why we're careful about the dogs we're picking up from the country, isn't it?
yep. And here's the problem, is while we could go there and every dog that comes off the property and is unvaccinated, we could destroy. We don't want our deputies to do that kind of thing, and
No.
And they don't wanna
But
do it that
again-
way.
the public relations fallout that comes from such a situation is just not good for any of us.
Not a good.
but again, if you can destroy them not being tagged, why can we not humanely, instead of shooting them, say, okay, they're not
That's not
tagged,
what Iowa code provides.
so you can't take them to the shelter and have them humanely euthanized?
Once we take it.
After you give the 2-day notice, and then after they have 7 days to reply.
So if you don't kill them on the spot, they've got 7 days.
Yep.
And that's,
That's,
I'm sorry, I would probably let a dog eat me before I was able to shoot it, and I don't think putting officers through that.
oh,
I
nobody
won't.
wants to do that.
I'll take it even.
And not only don't the deputies or any of us want to do it, the public doesn't want them out there
No.
shooting dogs, that's
Now, we will and have put
But we
dogs
will-
down
but we
that are
still-
That are
chasing
vicious.
animals
Yep,
or
yep.
coming after us.
But that, not just say, I don't see a rabies tag on that dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't
That's
wanna
probably
go there.
bad.
Well, let's see how this plays out today. And
Let's
then
get us a
come back,
lawyer when we, yeah.
and we can change this around and get a lawyer, have Lisa in here.
Okay, there's a couple other things
Okay.
dealing with the animal abuse.
What you got, where you at?
There's nothing in there.
Animal abuse, well, I think,
Yes.
isn't that covered in Iowa code, didn't Kevin say?
Okay, and then, we had a situation in Danville, which is a incorporated place, but they don't have any animal control. Is there any way we could talk with them and ask them if we could help them out with any animal abuse that happens in their area, with the Animal Control Board of Des Moines County?
I think that would be a question for Lisa.
Okay.
I don't know whether county ordinances.
So they
matter
put something on their agenda to take a look at,
Unless
but
they pass
the
something.
owners of that dog were charged with neglect of that dog.
But were they able to get the dog back?
So not to date.
Okay, so they
potentially-
abandoned it.
They potentially can, but that will be left up to the courts.
Oh, so they haven't went to court on it yet?
Yeah.
Oh, so then they'll have to pay all that cost.
Animal
So
abuse.
Where's that dog, in Des Moines County?
It's in the, they left it, and then when the officers went and collected it, because people called them at the apartment and said this dog has been left, she informed the officers, well, I'm coming back and feeding it. Well, really sweet little dog, bless her heart. It's a shepherd type. So you can't really tell unless you put your hands on it, but it was nothing but bones. I mean, they had not been feeding it. So the officer collected it and
To
took it
answer your
down to the
question,
shelter.
yes.
It's what?
It's in, yes,
It's a what?
it's in Des Moines County.
Yeah,
But
yes.
Des Moines County is not paying that bill, it should be.
Yeah, we are.
Danville.
I bet you, I guarantee you.
Well,
they're paying that bill.
it's not in,
So,
it's,
that- Danville will be responsible for that bill.
Yeah,
Who's it, really?
Danville
Alright.
will be,
Alright.
even though I pay my taxes, county and them, that's Danville's
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
What, they pay you for police
Yes.
coverage, so expenses incurred with that police coverage, I would think would be fall under what they've got. If you have to,
So any dogs that we take, and they understand that any dogs that we take, as with any city, those bills are sent directly to those incorporated cities.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, I was just thinking, if we could help them out with the animal abuse and have hearings for them, but if we do that, then we're taking our responsibility for the payment. I don't wanna do that. That's gotta be there discussed, yeah.
We need a lawyer. We need a lawyer in
The
here.
cities will
We really
pass
do.
their own ordinances if they
Yeah, my
want to.
neighbor's dog got out. That went over there on the highway, and Roosevelt killed all them birds, chickens, and turkeys and them. Broke through the, when they put that,
And you know,
fiber
situations,
optic in our backyard.
situations
They cut the
happen.
fiber optic thing, well, they cut the perimeter fence, they had to have collars on, the dog walked right through.
But, yeah, oh, I hate those electric fences. Things happen, people's dogs, you know, my dogs have a very nice chain link fence, they have, I've had dogs escape in the past. So, it's one thing to have it happen, but that's where the animal control board can step in and say, okay, this was one incident that happened to happen, because it found a hole in the fence or it figured out something else, or someone who's just purely irresponsible and just doesn't care about anyone else around them and lets things go.
So let me ask you, just let me ask you as a dog owner, if your dog accidentally got out, and you're very responsible, and that dog went and killed somebody's sheep,
I will tell you a story. So years back, many years back, we had a nice fenced-in yard. Two of my dogs got out and killed a rabbit in a pen at my neighbor's house. I felt horrible. My husband felt horrible. He worked at Leaf, a candy plant. So he came home with 2 huge bags of candy for the kids, because it was their rabbit that it killed. And I went over and talked to the family and gave them the candy and apologized to the kids. I mean, I was devastated. Everything was changed. We put an electric cattle fence around our fence after that, so they'd get shocked badly anytime they went near the fence. But we gave them the candy, and I was talking to the kids, well, they also had guinea pigs, and the one kid looked at me and he says, does your dogs wanna come eat my guinea pig? Because they got all, because they got all that candy.
already.
They wanted to know if he'd what?
If my dogs wanted to eat their guinea pig, if they were gonna get candy every time my dogs ate something.
Yeah, but what if they said, we
But-
don't care about that candy, and that dog ate our rabbit, and the kids are distraught over it, and they're shaking like those sheep are inside their bedroom, so then.
Oh, yeah, the devastation's horrible. So like I said, situations can happen. Now, going after livestock, those dogs wouldn't go after livestock. But like I said, the dogs I have now, even though they're very friendly, very docile. I have one that I think would probably, if there was sheep running from her, I think she'd nail it. Now, I had a dog grab a rabbit one time out of the yard, and it finally caught it, and it was laying down with it under its hands, and it looked at it, and then looked at me like, now what the hell do I do with it? So I don't know what she'd do if she caught it, but these dogs apparently know what to do with it, actually.
Well,
Uh,
the only thing I think was to approach the legislature and change that so that has to be shot on the spot, or you give them 10 days.
yeah.
Because those 10, 12 dogs, if that's gonna happen, could easily cost us $5,000.
And I think it should be. If they say you can shoot them if they're not tagged, first of all, shooting's not humane.
Well, no, I'm not arguing
So
with it, but that's what
why-
the code says.
Yeah, so it should be changed to where then you could take them to the shelter, have them
That's
euthanized humanely. It's probably there to protect the officers, right? So the dog's too vicious for them to get close to it, so they can shoot it and do it then.
No, I think it's to protect the public, to make sure that something is happening with these dogs. So in other words, if there's counties or cities that are not providing an animal shelter, that there's no reason, like the dog has to be impounded or has to be destroyed so that there's no unvaccinated dogs running loose. Like it's important that happens. Making sure that everybody involved understands that importance can be difficult at times. It's important not to have unvaccinated dogs.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you a question about the process of billing? And I don't know how it works at the animal shelter. So they're there for 7 days, they get 2 days, they get their notice, 7 days later, they're gonna go pick up these dogs. Do they have to pay before they leave?
Yes.
I mean, maybe this is a process.
So that would be my understanding, but I'm uninvolved in that end of it as well. So I know that we get a certain amount of bills that come back, and they don't even come directly to the sheriff's office, they come out of non-departmental, and the county ends up paying them. Any bills that are unpaid by the dogs that we collect and bring in.
They do not let the owners pick up the dogs until the bill's paid though. I know that because the one from Danville, they make them pay that.
Do they put down a deposit when these dogs get dropped off? I mean, maybe you would be able to tell if those dogs are gonna be picked up. I mean, if you're willing to put $100 deposit, I don't even know, I'm just wondering if part of that could be eliminating some of that cost by asking for a deposit in advance, because if they don't have the $50 or $100 paid down, originally, they're not gonna have the money at 7 days. Maybe they would waive their rights.
That would be a conversation
I-
with the shelter.
I don't think it is. For 7 days, you gotta give them 7 days. I don't think they have to say
Wouldn't
anything,
matter.
I would guess.
Well, we're gonna have to, yeah, obviously, we're gonna have to come back here and.
Kevin and I have got
I really wish they
a
could've
meeting
been-
we have to be to at 11 o'clock.
And you got a
Oh, well,
tour.
then you better get
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a project tour.
We're
isn't
gonna
there?
shut this
Where's
down.
that?
Says county attorney,
That's
county
just me.
Are
attorney
you guys
project
giving
tour.
them their
Oh, that's
notice
a county-
and
county
You
engineer.
got that covered?
That's
I
just
have
what they
about
want
3
you to
missed
look
calls
at.
right now,
Oh,
so,
okay.
I'm gonna.
Okay, Sarah, you can
What
shut
do
it
you
down.
need?
Kevin, thank you, hon, I'm sorry
I'm
about all
gonna get
that.
with Brad Sickfried. He's the one that's been calling me because I told the deputy that we need to seize every one of those dogs. So I'm sure he told Brad, and Brad's like, "You want us to seize 10 dogs? You know, which is the cost."
Are you crazy
It's
right
too
now?
bad that there's not something in that billing policy that.
Unfortunately, if we don't, they kill this neighbor's dogs, and we haven't seized unvaccinated dogs.
Yes.